Welcome to this first of what I hope will be at least two videos about the German coastal defence batteries built in Jersey in the Channel Islands during the Second World War. The first I'm going to talk about is Batterie Moltke. But first, a bit of background. The Germans occupied the Channel Islands in June 1940 after the British government abandoned them, although a large part of the population chose to remain on the islands and lived under occupation until they were liberated in 1945. The Channel Islands, and particularly Jersey, already had a large number of coastal fortifications, some of which dated back to the medieval period. These included Mount Ouen in Gorey, which is sometimes also called Gorey Castle, Elizabeth Castle in St Albans Bay, which enables it to cover all the approaches to the harbour at St Helier, which is of course the capital of Jersey, the Seymour Tower at La Roque, and Fort Regent, which was built during the Napoleonic period to reinforce the defences of Jersey in event of a French invasion. There were also numerous things that are called conway towers, which were a forerunner of Martello towers, and there are examples of Martello towers as well on Jersey. The significant difference really between the two types is that the conway towers tend to be taller and built out of local stone, whereas the Martello towers tend to be built from brick. The Germans took over most of these existing fortifications and adapted them, usually with the addition of concrete pillboxes, etc., for their own use. However, none of them were capable of being used as sites for larger coastal defence guns, and these are the sorts of things that the Germans wanted to add to Jersey and the Channel Islands defences. As a result, several sites were surveyed around the coast of Jersey, and one of the ones that was chosen was where Batterie Moltke was located. Its location was on a headland at a place called Les Landes in St Ouen parish in the northwest of Jersey. This enabled it to cover the bay to the south of it. It was originally intended that the battery would be operated by the German Navy's Coastal Defence Artillery branch. As a result, work began to build special concrete emplacements for naval guns, 15 cm SKC-28 guns in revolving mountings. These guns were already in use aboard the larger ships of the German Navy, including the Bismarck class, the Scharnhorst class, and the Deutschland class heavy cruisers, which are of course also known as pocket battleships, and they form the secondary armament of these warships. And here you can see two of them aboard the Admiral Graf Spee. However, they weren't delivered, and it was decided instead to put 4 French 15.5 centimetre guns in their place in open positions. As a result of this, control of the battery passed from the German Navy to the German Army, who also installed a number of other guns and pieces of equipment around the site to protect it from land and air attack. And these included 3 37mm flak anti-aircraft guns, a large searchlight, a number of FT-17 tank turrets which had been taken off the tanks and mounted in specially built concrete emplacements, which are sometimes referred to as Tobruk bunkers, and finally a 37mm PaK-36 anti-tank gun, which was intended to deal with any possible armoured vehicle attacks. The guns that were used were well known and well used by many nations, and it was called in French service the Canon de 155 Grande Puissance Filou, model 1917. And besides being used by the French and Germans, it was also used by Australia, Brazil, Chile, Finland, Italy, Japan, the Philippines, and the United States. In the latter case, it was actually mounted on a lengthened Sherman tank chassis and became the 155mm gun motor carriage M12. You can see one of these guns in action in this photograph. The gun's characteristics were a weight of 13,000 or kilograms or 12.8 tons, a barrel length of almost 6 meters or 20 feet, a shell of 43 kilograms in weight or 95 pounds, which was fired using separate loading cased charges. It had a caliber of 155mm or 6.1 inches, an elevation from 0 to plus 35 degrees, a rate of fire of around 2 rounds per minute, a muzzle velocity of 735 meters per second or 2,411 feet per second, and a maximum range of 19,500 meters or 21,325 yards. Gunfire from the battery was actually controlled from a specially built concrete multi-layered position built close by on the cliffs at Leyland. It was similar in layout to many of the other gun control towers built around the Channel Islands and I think along the whole of the West Wall, and it resembled the gun control towers used on large German warships. After the war, the battery was stripped of most of its metal, which went to be used as part of the drive to rebuild the British economy. However, the gun barrels were deemed to be too large for this and were actually taken and thrown off the cliff and left to just rot away at the bottom. Later on, the site was taken over by the Channel Islands Occupation Society, who renovated it and had now opened portions of it as a museum, and this is open on many days of the year to the public. That then is the story of Batterie Moltke. I hope you found it interesting. If you did so, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already considered so, please could you subscribe to this channel. That will enable you to watch more of the videos I've produced, both those that have already been done and those that will come in the future. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Goodbye.